Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to Myth Busting Mondays. In today's episode, for the final myth, we are going to be testing if whether or not that is possible, if that the tank can rocket ride, just like how a survivor can. This is going to be absolutely insane. I hope you guys look forward to today's episode. If you guys have a specific myth you guys would like to see featured in next week's episode, just please put in the comment section down below. But anyways, guys, let's get on with this week's episode of Myth Busting Mondays. Myth: if a hunter or a jockey pounces you mid-fall, does it cancel fall damage? Alrighty guys, so for the very first myth, this is submitted in by Noel. Now Noel, I know that you've been trying to be in an episode for a while, buddy, and do not fret, I read every single one of your comments, and I do see you, so I want to make sure that for today's episode that you were front and center, and that you were the very first myth. So I hope you end up enjoying, my friend, and I'm glad that you got to be in an episode, but now we're going to test your myth, my G. Now, Noel, when it comes to your myth here, your myth is specifically asking that if a hunter or a jockey pounces you, will you receive no fall damage? And here's the thing I want to show you, my friend, is that when we did the myth testing, we noticed something interesting. When we ended up doing this testing, we noticed that you get reduced fall damage, but you still indeed do take fall damage. You're going to see from the footage here that when I end up getting pounced by a hunter while I'm on the ladder, I am still indeed taking damage. Now, yes, keep in mind is that there is the initial damage from the hunter and the jockey attacking me, so there is that needs to be taken into play. But however, though, I want you to notice that every single time that we're doing this, it's not like we have a significant bit of fall damage. We actually just have the same amount of fall damage, because in this particular ladder area, if you fall from max height of this ladder, regardless of being full HP, you will go down. So when the hunter and the jockey both grab us, we only end up having it where we have reduced fall damage and not no fall damage. And then here's some of the footage that we have where we did it with the jockey. Now, even though the mechanics are slightly different, they do work very similarly. And you can see that once again with Gnomeregan here, that when the jockey ends up hitting him, even though he's at the very, very tippity top of the ladder, he ends up having 1 HP when he hits the ground and then ends up getting incapacitated just because of the jockey rather than the fall damage itself. So here's the interesting thing about your myth, is that if you do get grabbed, you do end up having a reduced chance of dying, but you will not be completely invulnerable to fall damage, which means that this myth is going to end up being busted, because if it was based off of being invulnerable, we did not end up having that from our testing. However, though, it still is technically better to get pounced, it's just that you need to make sure you get the special infected off of you right away. Myth: does the witch run slower while in the water? Alrighty guys, so this next myth is submitted in by Zoe. Now this is very similar to the myth that we've done before with the charger and the hunter as well, but here's the thing, is that we've had a 50-50 ratio. The hunter was slowed down, but not the charger. So will this be the case with the witch? That is something that I'm curious to see, because the witch does not spawn in any area that has ever had deep water. Think about it. The witch doesn't spawn on the Death Toll finale near the boathouse, and nor has she ever spawned in on Coldstream, because that's only possible in versus mode. So when it comes to the witch, is she going to be able to be slowed down, because that's something that really the game never has to take into account. Now, yes, I do understand that it is very hard to see the witch, because technically she is lying down and she's just immersed in the water. But I do promise you there is one in the water that you're going to see here in a second, while there's also one at the pier. Now, we weren't able to get them to stand side by side. They're off by a little bit, but we'll just end up reducing the amount of time for the one and then basically notice the difference. So here we go. In a minute here, we're going to have both Nitwit and Gnomeregan shoot them, and you guys can end up seeing that the results are interesting. It seems that the witch does have pathing and no speed difference when it comes to running in the water. Even though the witch doesn't spawn on maps with water that often, or really is around water, she ends up navigating it just fine. So, minus the slight human error that we ended up having in the test because of the fact that we weren't able to get them in the same spot, and there's also a delay possibly with who shot who first. But basically, you can notice from the difference that the time is very, very similar. In fact, it almost is identical. So for this next myth here, this is also going to be busted. That means that the hunter is the only one so far that's affected by water, and that the charger and the witch are not. Myth: is there a way to get a charger to let go of a pinned survivor without killing it? Alrighty guys, this next myth is submitted in by Glabersko. Now for this myth guys, I want to test the explosives on the charger because the explosives have the ability to stumble a variety of different things, and I feel like if we get an explosive next to the charger but not directly on top of him so it doesn't end up killing him, that it will be enough to at least stun him. So here we go. I want to try this with an oxygen tank first. And so far that does indeed work. Okay, so that's 1 point for the oxygen tank and 0 for the charger. Alright, now we're going to test out the pipe bomb and see if this also does the same thing. So here goes the pipe bomb. And once again, the pipe bomb also does stun the charger. And now here we are trying explosive rounds on our sniper rifles, which also does stun the charger. And then here it is with the propane tank, and that also does stun the charger. And then, hell, this one sounds like a random one, but this was Glabersko's idea, and I thought it was interesting. I was like, sure, why not? So he decided to spawn in a boomer, of all things, and see if the boomer explosion would be able to stun the charger. And this one was a weird one, but I was like, sure, why not? I mean, technically it's not an explosive, but it also is at the exact same time. What's the worst that can happen? The worst just ends up being a busted myth. So here we go. And once again, just like all the other things, even the boomer does it too. The only explosive I can think of that's in the entire game that does not end up stunning the charger and making him let go is the grenade launcher. But that's probably because it's a gun and not treated as a random third-party explosive like the explosive ammo or even the things like the boomer explosion. So that's why the grenade launcher is the only thing that just does not work. But hey though, the ratio is really good. Only one thing doesn't work that we tried, and everything else does. Which means that this myth is indeed confirmed. You can stun the charger and get him to let go of a survivor without killing him, and you can do it in a variety of different ways. Myth: can you win Noam Chomsky with Noam Chomsky? Alright guys, this next myth is submitted in by Nitwit. Now yes, I do understand that the myth does say can you beat carnival games with Noam Chomsky, but with the other games we have indeed done that before, but we have not tried to win Noam Chomsky with Noam Chomsky. So this is the only minigame that is left, so we decided to do this one, which this one's kind of meta, because the only way you can do this is if you spawned in an artificial Noam Chomsky, so the only way you can technically do this is if you're cheating, but it's really fun for our amusement. So we're just going to see if whether or not that Noam Chomsky can technically win another Noam Chomsky. Now originally when we started this myth I didn't think it was going to be possible, but we went from 240 and then to 600 points in just a matter of 2 attempts, so I was like, okay, maybe this legitimately is possible. Because keep in mind, I want to just remind everybody that the only amount of points that you need is at the very least 750 in order to win Noam Chomsky. So with 4 of us doing this, and we're hitting pretty much every single target, as long as we don't mess up, this was quite easy to get pretty consistently. And here's the thing, is that after the first attempt, I had faith, but after the second attempt, I was really confident. Really all it is that you just need to make sure that you're ready for the targets. When you're using a gun, you have to reload. When you're using grenades, you have to worry about, like, you know, cocking your hand back and forth. But if you're just right in the pit constantly meleeing, there's no real room for human error. You're pretty much guaranteed to get it. In fact, fun fact, we did get it. We actually earned Noam Chomsky with Noam Chomsky. In fact, we had like 1,000+ points. So the myth is confirmed, and we have a new fun activity now that we can do when we're bored. Okay guys, so here we are, final myth time. So once again, the final myth is going to be, can the tank rocket ride? Let's do this, and I hope you guys end up enjoying what we discovered. Myth: can the tank rocket ride? Alrighty guys, so for the final myth, this is submitted in by JJ Lipscomb. Now JJ, your myth interested me here, like a lot, because the myth here in hindsight is something that I thought about before in the past, but I really didn't think was possible. Now this myth is something that I thought was most likely going to either get me killed, because I thought about the splash damage and how that I would have to have the tank constantly jump into me while I'm shooting the grenade launcher. And I also thought about how this could kill the tank, because the tank is constantly being shot with a grenade launcher continuously, and even after a while, if you have like 30 grenade launcher shots being locked up your ass, you probably would want to end up dying. But we did find a way to end up trying this without getting ourselves killed, and what we decided to do was that we ended up having it where the tank jumps from a certain height on top of a building, and we just shoot early rather than the tank just jumping into our player model, like how you do this with a normal survivor. So that was step 1 cleared, which did make this myth at least obtainable first. It made it at least possible. Now, we ended up doing this on the part of Dead Center right outside of the hotel because we wanted to make sure that everyone would live to see the results of this. So whether you think right now that this myth is busted or confirmed, all I just ask you to do is just watch this clip.
What the fuck? It works! It
What? What? Ayo! 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 Yeah, so that's a new one. You can end up having the tank rocket ride in Left 4 Dead. What do you know? Now that's a new one, and that is definitely a confirmed myth right there, ladies and gentlemen. And in case you guys are wondering if this indeed was a fluke, I promise you it was not, because here's 2 other examples. This is what it was like when I saw one of my friends do it, and here's an example of when I'm the tank, and it also indeed happened to me. So yeah, guys, this myth is not a fluke, it is 100% confirmed, and now you can imagine the epic moments that will happen in public lobbies if somebody wants to be daring enough and make a tank rocket ride. But yeah, guys, that's it for today's video. I do truly hope you guys end up enjoying. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. If you guys would like to financially support the channel, I tremendously appreciate if you guys could go check out my Patreon. It is always linked down below in all my YouTube video descriptions. Or you guys could use supporter creator code BlackNinja797 in all caps in the 4 Epic Games item shops, because Epic is my very first sponsor, and they're sponsoring today's video, so shout out to Epic Games. If you have a myth that you would like to see featured next week, just put it in the comment section down below. But anyways, guys, I hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers you're ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords, Jesus here, and you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too, and give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!
As we conclude the video, by the way, I wanted to shout out Gnomeregan real quick for making this Left 4 Dead 2 Myth-Busting Mondays t-shirt, because I absolutely love this. I did not ask him to make this. This was something he decided to do on his own accord, and he just did this for fun. I wanted to include this in the video because I wanted to show off his work, because I absolutely love it when you guys do anything fan art related, whether it be drawings or whether it end up being like putting me in a game, like pixel art in Minecraft, or even something like this. This is just so cool. So if anybody has any fan art or any fan creations, please don't be afraid to share them. I might even put them in some videos because this is just awesome, man. Shout out to you, Gnomeregan.